has said it welcomes the temporary peace agreement between Israel and Hamas. However, it warns that much more is needed to ease the suffering for the people of Gaza, who've been caught in intense violence since September. William Denslow reports from United Nations headquarters in New York.
In a statement, a spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General said this deal was an important step, but more is needed to be done. On October 7th, Hamas killed around 1,200 Israelis and took over 200 people hostage. In the weeks that have followed, the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 14,000 people have been killed as Israel launched an operation to eliminate Hamas. Speaking at a UN Security Council meeting on Wednesday, the Executive Director of UN Women says around 67% of those killed in Gaza since October 7th are women and children. The Executive Director of UN's children's agency UNICEF added that 1 million children in Gaza are currently food insecure. The deal between Hamas and Israel was brokered by Qatar, Egypt and the United States. Washington's representative at the meeting says the agreement is cause for hope and urged all sides to honor its commitments.
China has welcomed home the remains of 25 Chinese soldiers killed in the Korean War. A military plane landed at an airport in northeast China. South Korea handed over the remains during a ceremony at Incheon International Airport on Thursday morning. The Chinese People's Volunteers fought against the South Korean Army and U.S.-led forces between 1950 and 1953. South Korea reached an agreement with China in 2014 to repatriate the remains of the fallen soldiers. The remains of more than 900 soldiers have since returned home. China says it'll speed up the establishment of a carbon footprint management system for products. The government says it'll also establish a carbon footprint database and promote the construction of a carbon labeling and certification system. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the explosion on the Nord Stream gas pipeline is an act of state terrorism. The blast occurred off the Danish island of Bornholm in September of last year. They ruptured 3 out of 4 lines that delivers Russian gas to Europe. No one has taken responsibility. The Finnish government has announced the closure of all but one border crossing with Russia. This comes amid an increase in migrant arrivals from the Middle East and Africa. Officials say border guards and soldiers have begun erecting barriers at some crossing points on the country's long border with Russia. Roughly 600 undocumented migrants, including residents of Iraq and Syria, arrived in Finland in November. The Kremlin has rejected the claim that Russia has encouraged the influx of migrants at the border to punish Finland for joining NATO. 3 New Zealand political parties have concluded weeks of negotiations to form a government. The parties are expected to announce the details in a signing ceremony on Friday. The formal signing will be followed by the announcement of the new cabinet lineup and ministerial responsibilities. The National Party won the general election on October 14th, with the Labour Party to step down after 6 years in office. However, with no party winning a majority of seats, the formation of a new government depended on the outcome of inter-party negotiations to form a coalition government. Novak Djokovic says he wants to keep his momentum going for one last week and cap a great 2023 season in style with a Davis Cup title. Djokovic, who won 3 Grand Slams this year, will lead Serbia against Britain in the last quarterfinal of the Davis Cup finals. Djokovic will face Cameron Norrie in his singles outing.
I'm ready. Obviously, I'm not fresh as like beginning of the season or maybe a few months ago, but that's okay. I knew what's awaiting for me and what's expecting me, and I was ready for it. I've been performing, some of the best tennis I've ever performed, really, in the last 4 or 5 months. So coming off from 2 great victories in Bercy and Turin, hopefully I can use that confidence and experience to contribute to Serbia.
Djokovic is on a 20-match winning streak in Davis Cup singles. He helped Serbia win his first Davis Cup title in 2010. And that's the news at Sui.